Sir, ṣe lè mute mic nísìnyí àti ìbẹ̀rẹ̀. Okay, we'll start soon anyway.
Mic is muted.
Okay, sir. Sir, ṣe lè mute mic nísìnyí àti ìbẹ̀rẹ̀. Okay, we'll start soon anyway.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Yoruba Ronu session. I will be your host for tonight. My name is Olapiju Ayola, and today we'll be doing a comparative study of Sudan and Nigeria. And I hope you'll be taking note and paying attention to the details. As always, I have my co-host with me. Baba Bakari is here tonight, as well as Mr. Lewis and Mr. Jolomi, who will all be moderating and coordinating the Q&A, as well as Madam Ajoke Ade, who is also back here with us tonight. And then I have Madam Ajoke, the other Madam Ajoke, who is always behind the scene, engaging you in the on the platforms, in the comment sections. And finally, I'll be introducing the speaker, who is always here every week, at least almost every week, and he'll be speaking about this comparative study in full details, and also be answering your question. The president of TYF Worldwide, Are Oladimeji Bolariwa. Sorry, Are, I paused there. Are, are you ready for this incredible section? Are you ready to enlighten us?
Thank you very much. Am I very audible?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, like loud and clear.
Very much so, sir.
Thank you so much. Can I start speaking now, or you still want to do some minor introduction or prelude?
Not much. We'll let you start. We'll let you kick that, and then we will put in our own thought once you're done.
Because I really hope that the moderators will also be doing a lot of some prelude before the real conversation actually starts, because it makes me feel a little bit
all right. Okay. So you want us to start with great energy.
Yes.
All right. So what Ara is talking about tonight is very peculiar. We are in a very delicate time globally, in all civilization globally. We're in a very delicate time, and we're hoping that everyone here are also conscious and are aware of all the things happening globally, because we need to understand that we can't sit duck and we are at risk. And we need to understand as Yoruba people that this is a time for us to band together, for us to be very, very, to be very, very involved and to be conscious politically as well as socially, because we can't be doing individualism if we want to survive and we don't want to go to extinction. So I'm praying tonight that everything I said, it's good and it comes out in ways that would be impactful and would be enlightening, and everyone will be able to understand. And also for everyone listening to us back home, I pray that you'll be able to understand in the concept of how we need to move forward, and you start to work on it. Are, you can carry on now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam Ayo, for the wonderful submission. May Almighty God continue to empower you. May Almighty God continue to be with you. I'm greeting the fantastic and erudite moderators that are also in the studio. and people that are also in the back room. I'm talking about Madam Ajoke Ade, Madam Mr. Lewis, Mr. Bakare, Mr. Jolomi, and Miss Ajoke. May Almighty God continue to be with you, with the entire pre-production, post-production, and production crew of this brilliant and wonderful session or program. Once again, I greet us all in the name of Olodumare. I'm Oladimeji Bolarinwa, the president of TYF, Think Yoruba First Organization Worldwide. It is a socio-political, socio-cultural think tank, non-governmental organization that speaks for the entire Yoruba people throughout the world. Today's conversation is extremely important. And today's conversation is highly critical. Today we are going to be doing a juxtaposition between Nigeria and Sudan. What are the similarities between Nigeria and Sudan? What are the likely things that might happen, that happened in Sudan, that is already happening in Nigeria, and where Nigeria is actually headed? Today and tonight's conversation, you can see the way I'm so sober and trying to become cool and collected. There is a reason for this. Because I'm going to be saying a lot of things that I want to beg all Yoruba people listening to me, other Nigerians listening to me, other West Africans listening to me, the citizens of the free world listening to me, not to see me as anti any ethnicity, as anti any religion, as anti any other person. We are just here to speak as a citizen of the world. We are not paid to do this. We've never been paid to do this. It is a call to serve our people, to be the voice in the wilderness in these trying times. I speak to your conscience, I speak to your heart. And I want you tonight to take this lecture today to be one of the greatest lecture for you to know what is happening in the Sahel. Many of the things many of us know, some of us know, we thought it was common knowledge. But we live in the time of great delusion. We live in the time of great hedonism, where things like sports, music, and other entertainment, just like during the time when the Roman Empire was about to collapse, is exactly the situation of things in Yoruba land as we speak. So, for any one of you that will be listening to me today, I want you all to be the apostle, to be the gospelers, to be the missionaries that will take this message into powerful places in the world, from Aso Rock to the White House, to government houses, local government secretariats, because this message might save the life of millions and millions of people all around the world, men and women. I'll be comparing Sudan and Nigeria. And I'm going to start very, very basic. Sudan was a country, is a country that was colonized by the British. Nigeria was also a country that was under British colonialism and administration. So these two countries fundamentally has two things in common. They were both colonized by Britain. So you have to know that fundamentally. So we are not comparing apples with oranges, and we are not trying to be false alarmists. For the mere fact that the two countries were colonized by Britain under the same colonial administration should actually send a lot of signals to people listening to us. What we're doing is what we call compare and contrast. In basic terms, it's called juxtaposition. So I want us to follow chronologically what we will be saying. Sudan had Northern Sudan and Southern Sudan. Nigeria had Northern Nigeria and Southern Nigeria. The North was basically mostly Sunni Muslims, while the South was basically, the Northern Sudan was basically Sunni Muslims, while Southern Sudan was basically mostly Christians and animists. In Northern Sudan, there were other religions there, other ethnicities apart from the Arabs there. In Northern Nigeria, apart from the Fulanis, Hausas, and the Kanuris, there are hundreds of other ethnicities there too. In Southern Sudan, there were also these mostly Christians due to the missionary work of the British and other European missionaries. We also have pockets of Muslims, especially from the Equatorial region in Southern Sudan. Now called South Sudan. You also look at Nigeria. Nigeria is mostly Christian. The bastion is that it has been the cesspool of Western, Judeo-Christian Western civilization. While we also have large pocket of Muslims in the West, in Yoruba land, and in Edo and Delta. So this shows you that it is almost the same configuration. And Northern Sudan has always been a place of different Islamic civilization for centuries before British colonialism. Does this sound familiar? Because we had the Ottoman Empire. After the Ottoman conquest of Sudan, so that area of Sudan, Northern Sudan specifically, was under the Ottoman Islamic Empire. Prior to this, there were also other Islamic empires, like the Funj Caliphate and the Darfur and the Darfuri Caliphate, which was ruled by the Sultan of Darfur. These were all African, Asiatic, Islamic empires. But you also look at Northern Nigeria, you have the Islamic Caliphate of Sokoto and the Kanem Borno Islamic civilization of Borno. So you can see a lot of similarities that the Northern Sudan has always had a form of Islamic civilization that has been existing in that place for 600, 700, 800 years. Northern Nigeria has also had a form of Islamic civilization for nearly 600, 700 years. And both that Islamic civilization was Sunni Islamic civilization. While Southern Nigeria, before the advent of Europeans, mostly were indigenous African civilization, where the Yoruba civilization, which we call the Oduduwa civilization, or some people call it Ife civilization, was the most powerful along the entire coast of West Africa. And if you look at Sudan, Sudan is the place where the two great rivers, the two mighty rivers of Central and East Africa, meet. And that place is called Khartoum. And I'm talking about the Blue Nile and the White Nile. One of the Nile is coming from Uganda. Another one is coming from Ethiopia. So when you look at these similarities, compared to Nigeria, Nigeria is where the two greatest rivers in West Africa also meet. I'm talking about River Niger and I'm talking about River Benue. And their confluence is at Lokoja. I hope people are following my juxtaposition between Sudan and Nigeria. When the British left, Sudan had its independence in 1956, while Nigeria had its independence in 1960. Northern Nigeria was ruled, and Northern Sudan were ruled separately from Southern Nigeria and Southern Sudan. It was a form of indirect rule. Northern Sudan, its Islamic structure was left intact, while Southern Sudan, the European powers funded missionary work, Christianization of the indigenous pagans in Southern Sudan. The same thing happened in Southern Nigeria. And according to different academic literatures and different academic studies, it is not a lie, it is not a propaganda that there was something called the dual mandates in Nigeria. The same thing, we also had the same thing in Sudan. The dual mandate in Nigeria was the Pact Anglo-Fulani Pact, where the Fulanis were co-colonizers within the Nigerian project. The Fulanis were in charge of the north, while they give reports to the British how they ruled the north, while the south was ruled directly by British colonial officers. Let's go further. In Northern Sudan, we had what we call the Anglo-Egyptian Pact, rulership of Sudan. The Egyptians, under the dynasty of Muhammad Ali, the Albanian governor of Egypt, was in charge of Sudan, even though it was still under the control of the British. So it was almost the same pattern, almost the same system. By the time the British left Sudan, they've been able to turn the Arabs, Muslims, as the rulers of Sudan, while Southern Sudan was to be treated as a conquered, third-class, paganistic, infidel axis of that Sudan. The same thing happened in Nigeria. It is no longer news that Ahmadu Bello said that the estate called Nigeria will be treated like the estate of his great-grandfather with Madame Fodio. These are historical facts. And if you read the history of Nigeria from 1940 to 1950, you are surely going to see a lot of conversations as regards to where the core north, Arewa, was demanding for hegemonic political control over the rest of Nigeria. If they do not have total, unfair advantage in terms of political seats, they are never going to be, they will never accept to be part of Nigeria. The same thing happened in Sudan. And Sudan, there was an amalgamation between North Sudan, which was ruled by the Muslims, and South Sudan, which was ruled by the Arab Muslims, and South Sudan, which was majorly dominated by the paganistic, indigenous, Nilotic Africans, who were later Christianized by the Europeans. Let's go further. I hope people can see the similarity. Northern Nigeria is controlled, it's a feudal system controlled by the Fulani power structure, which was a product of the conquest of the core north after the 1804 jihad of Uthman Dan Fodio, a Fulani warlord and cleric. The same thing happened in Sudan. The issue of Sudan, even though there are a lot of similarities, there are deep, deep differences. There are some slight differences. And those slight differences, I'm going to further break it down, which is why I'm going to talk about Sudan a little bit. What exactly is Sudan? I've said this several times. Sudan means the land of the black people. Now, how can a country that used to be the land of black people suddenly become Arab? How did the land of the blacks become the land of the Arabs? How did Arab settlers suddenly become the overwhelming majority of a country that was never theirs 1,000 years ago? What happened? That area called Sudan has more pyramids than Egypt, because Sudan was part and parcel of the great Egyptian civilization. And the Arabization of Sudan was finally the destruction of any proof of the greatness of black civilization. What I'm saying tonight, you need to see beyond religion, you need to see beyond hate, you need to see beyond sentiment and pettiness for you to actually understand what we are talking about. The Arabization of Sudan was started in the 14th century, just around 1300 to the 1400s. The Arabization of Sudan did not start before the existence of the Oyo Empire. The Arabization of Sudan did not even start. The Europeans have not, Christopher Columbus have not stepped his feet on the shores of the North America, South American continent before the Arabization of Sudan started. What I'm saying is, in historical terms, the Arabization of Sudan is very, very recent. That's just what I'm saying. When the Rashidun Islamic Caliphate of the Arabs conquered much of North Africa, where they defeated the Byzantine Roman Empire in the 6th, 7th AD. What happened? They tried to go inward to conquer the rest, to attack the Kushite kingdom. But they were soundly defeated. The people of Kush were one of the few nations on earth that defeated the Arab expansionism after the death of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we need to understand how powerful the black civilization was. So the Nubian kingdom defeated the Rashidun Caliphate in 600, 700 AD. And for another 700, 800 years, area that is called Sudan today, Sudan, Eritrea, Ethiopia, Somalia, were powerful Christian kingdoms. I'm talking about Christianity that has existed since the days of, that Christianity would have been even before Western Christianity started. They were powerful Christian kingdoms. But what happened? By the mid-century, mid-millennium, I'm talking about between the 13th, 14th, 15th century, the Arab, after 600 years of stoppage, after the Arabs took over Egypt, there was a slight peace. But gradually, Arabs continued to come in as traders. They continue to come as herdsmen. Am I making sense? They continue to come in as nomadic people. They started settling down. And they started intermarrying with different tribes. One of the tribes that actually gave them access into Sudan was the tribe called the Beja tribe. The Beja tribe were the people that actually, they also accepted Islam, and all of a sudden gave the Arab settlers land, and they started intermarrying heavily with them. Marriage, politics, power, economy has been one of the most powerful tools of colonialism and expansionism anywhere in the world. Like I said tonight, I am speaking to Yoruba sons and daughters. I'm not speaking to you for you to become very aggressive. I'm speaking so that you can have these pills of wisdom to be able to fight during these trying times. The world is back in the days of conquests. The world is back in the days of empire. There is nothing called international rule of law anymore. It has been broken apart. We see what is happening in Russia and Ukraine. We've seen what is happening in Palestine, between Israel and Palestine. We are in the days of the wide west all over the world. The world powers, everybody is trying to survive. That is why you see white nationalism are also trying to survive, and we can see that there is a resurgence in puritanical Arab expansionism clothed in Islam, political Islamism, all over the world. And we can see even in Asia, the Asians are so lucky. They've been able to secure their borders. They've been able to secure their identity, and they stand a chance to survive what is going to happen. The most chaotic places that's going to be on the surface of the earth is going to be Western Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. Because those places, demography is changing. There are pervasive and conflicting ideology between those places. And Africa, which is full of human resources, mineral resources, anybody who secures it has secured a lifetime of greatness for their coming generation. So there's a lot of things to fight for and grab in Africa. The countries we have in Africa, even though they say they are sovereign, there's no sovereign country in Africa. Every single country in Africa was made in Berlin. Our foreign affairs is not ours. This is the bitter truth. But as usual, we love to deceive ourselves. We love to preach ideologies that does not exist anywhere in the world. I am sorry to say this. An average black man in Africa does not have the wisdom and understanding to survive this century. That is why some of us have dedicated our whole life to maybe our race, the Yoruba people, can survive. It's a matter of maybe. It is not guaranteed. Our survival it's in the hands of God. So the Arabization of Sudan took place by these nomadic Arab settlers in different waves and intermarrying with the local populace and some other indigenous ethnicities. After they became Arabized, they could not differentiate between Arabization and Islamization. Many of them, they adopted Arab as their mother tongue, and they stopped speaking their indigenous languages. And they became Arabs. They became Arabized. For people like the Funch Caliphate and the Darfuris, who refused to give up their identity, who refused to become Arabized, even though they say, oh, we become Muslims, we're no longer Christians. We become Muslims. That still did not spare them. When Egypt, under the Ottoman Turks with the support of the British, invaded Egypt, Egypt invaded Sudan, rather, because of three things. One, to get black slaves, because the Ottoman Empire was built on the use of slave soldiers as a tool of expansionism. After Napoleon Bonaparte was defeated in Egypt, the Ottoman Empire knew they needed more slave soldiers. The European Janissaries were no longer trusted. The Janissaries were Christian children that were enslaved and stolen from their families, that were turned into elite Ottoman Empire, and they were used to fight for the expansionism and the expansion and glory of the Ottoman Empire for more than 500 years. So tens of thousands of black people were taken as slaves to be used as soldiers. The Ottomans have seen the Arabs done it. The use of black people as slave soldiers. They've seen it done in Oman, in Zanzibar. So why can't they do the same thing also in Egypt? Essentially to be used to crush revolts in Greece and other places in the Balkans that were trying to get their independence from the Ottoman Empire. So they also wanted more land for agriculture and also for the total Arabization of that place, especially the destruction of the Funch Caliphate and the Darfur Caliphate, which were ruled by black people who were not speaking Arabic. And they knew how important even the pharaohs, the great pharaohs, Greeks, Alexander the Great, the Roman Empire could not conquer that area of Africa where the two great rivers met, the Blue Nile and the Nile and the White Nile. And they needed that land a lot for agriculture in order to be able to produce large cash crops, in order to be able to sustain the Ottoman Empire, and food crops in order to be able to expand the empire. It was also during this period that the British and other European societies were experiencing large industrialization. So they needed cash crops like cotton. And it was during this period that Britain lost its crown colony. The crown colony of Britain was United States of America. So Britain was looking for solutions, cuttings that was going to supplement, that was going to continue to give raw materials for the looms, industrial machine looms of Great Britain. And they saw one in Sudan. Many of the enslaved black people in Sudan were used in order to produce millions of tons of cotton that was exported from the Ottoman Empire to Britain. That is why we had the issue of a dual mandate of the colonization of Sudan before the 1952 revolution that overthrew the dynasty of Muhammad Ali. Now, I'm still talking about Sudan. And now there emerged a particular, so at this particular period of time, the black people, one way or the other, still had a form of political freedom. Even though there have been fighting about land, others farmers' crisis. A good example was in Abyei, where Arab nomadic Arabized herdsmen were fighting over land with indigenous Dinkas. And in that 18th century, just like Afoja in Ilorin, the indigenous Dinka chief gave land and said, oh, you Arabs can be settling down and be giving your and be using that land to graze your cattle. We are all brothers. We are all brothers in Islam. Are we not also intermarrying? When in 2011, 250 years later, almost over 250 years later, when the Dinkas, who are now majorly in South Sudan, wanted to get their independence from South Sudan, the Arabs stood up and said that land belongs to them, that they will not allow Abyei to be part of South Sudan. You know why? Oil and gas in huge commercial quantities had been discovered in that area. So the people they gave land, settlers, visitors, said they would never allow Abyei, that huge, rich territory, to be part of South Sudan. Brothers and sisters, Abyei was never allowed to be part of South Sudan, despite all the tears and agony of the Dinkas. The oil and gas that Sudan claims to own now is coming from the land they stole by people who welcomed them with open arms. By the late 19th century, there was a man called Muhammad Ahmad who called himself the Messiah, Mahdi, that he has come to liberate all the Muslims in Sudan. Now, Mahdi calls himself an Arab from the descendants of Prophet Muhammad, even though historical literature says he was an Arabized Nubian. Now, Sudan, the Nubian kingdoms did not fall through war. The Nubian kingdoms fell through three things. The Nubian kingdoms did not fall through conventional war, which is not Sudan proper. The Nubian kingdom fell due to asymmetrical warfare, non-stop war of attrition by the Arabs, settlers, destroying their farms, displacing population, importing their people all the way from the Arabian Peninsula by trying to intermarry with the indigenous people, weaponizing Islam for their own political goal, If you do not have Islamic names, you are never going to get access to jobs. So a lot of people petitioned their indigenous identity and they started embracing other identity in order to be able to have economic privileges. Is the same thing not happening in Nigeria? They don't want us to talk about this because they know a lot of you are weak. A lot of you are afraid. And I cannot blame many of us. Because the British, the different military juntas that came into Nigeria killed a lot of dissidents. That is why no matter how terrible no matter how terrible politicians are, you can blame APC, you can blame PDP, you can curse them. They are still far, 3 billion times better than the military boys. Because the military structure of Nigeria, don't be fooled. You are seeing Oloyede Lagbaja, chief of army staff. The Nigerian military structure as till now, it is still within the hands of the Fulani hegemony in the core north. It's a bitter truth. That's why you see them already planning coup against Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. If you are naive within Nigeria, you are going to destroy yourself. And most ethnicities are not naive. The only naive people that we pray do not become the cannon fodder and they are going to be destroyed within Nigeria are my Yoruba people. That is why I'm speaking, I am sweating, I'm crying. I come here we come here every weekend to preach and shout in the wilderness. Nobody's going to stop us from speaking these truths. Because we are not mad. Everything we're saying is coming to pass. Open your eyes, you are going to see. So going back to Sudan, a man came, Muhammad Ahmad. He started what we call the Mahdist Revolution. And he used pan-Islamism. Pan-Islamism. Religious brotherhood and trauma bonding. Religious brotherhood and trauma bonding. In order to unite the different disparate ethnicities in the north and the south to say, let us expel the Ottoman Empire. Egypt should not be ruling us. So that thing called Sudan, the post-colonial borders of Sudan, it was the Egypt Ottoman invasion led by the governor, the Pasha of Egypt, in the person of Muhammad Ali that created those borders. What the Arabs could not achieve for 1,000 years, for close to 900 years, what the Roman Empire could not achieve in 2,000 years, what Alexander the Great could not achieve 3,000 years ago, the Ottoman Empire achieved it by creating that Sudan, by taking over those two great rivers where they marched, which was in Khartoum. So the Arabs, because the Ottoman Empire, this was when Arab nationalism started. Arab nationalism was already starting all over the Arab world. And a lot of Arabs have started asking questions. Why are the Ottoman Muslims ruling we Arab Muslims? They are not as populous as us. In fact, we gave them Islam. So why are we their slaves? Why have they become the number one and we've become third class within the hierarchy of power within the Islamic world? there were different rebellions against the Ottoman Turks in places like Algeria. So that was even why the Ottoman Turks handed over the Arab Muslims over to the French to be finally destroyed. So when Muhammad Ahmad started the Mahdist revolution, and he was able to weaponize pan-Islamism for his own Arab agenda, which they call the Mahdist revolution. The same pattern, that was where, and this issue of pan-Islamism, this issue of pan-Islamism was actually used for expansionism by certain ethnicities for their own political agenda in different places. The three major ethnicities that I can give examples of that have actually been able to use political Islam for their own ethnic agenda for the past 1,000 years are the Arabs, the Fulanis, and the Turks. When they want to gain public sympathy, they start talking about humanity first, patriotism. Just like you see them since Buhari have left power and they've become uneasy for the past 2 years. They've been going about preaching the beauty and oneness of Nigeria. And when they want to subjugate, suppress minority groups like Christians, traditionalists, animists, living within their political jurisdiction, within the country, Nigeria, they start using terms like, oh, these people are infidels. These people are ane. They start talking about blasphemy laws, apostasy. They become monsters. But when they start talking about Nigeria, they start talking in sweet terms. Let us all come together for one Nigeria. They've mastered the art of double speaking. They lie as if they are the second, they are the half brother of Shaitan. When it comes to their political agenda. And they've done this technique over and over and over again in several places across the world, and it has worked. Especially when they know that the black man becomes irrational when it comes to issue of metaphysics and religion. That is why we need to go through this intellectual conversation so that we are not going to be brute, we are not going to be crude, we are going to understand what we are discussing. So Muhammad Ahmad was able to, the only person that looks like Muhammad Ahmad within the Nigerian context was Sheikh Uthman Danfodio, who was able to use pan-Islamism to be able to change, to orchestrate a revolution. So there was Danfodio revolution in 1904 in Nigeria, in northern Nigeria, and there was Mahdi revolution between 1880s in Sudan. Even though with the help of the British, this revolution was pushed back. This and Uthman and the leader of the Mahdi revolution died through typhus. Just the way the British were also responsible for the crushing of the products of the revolution of Danfodio by the destruction of the Sokoto Caliphate by the early 1900s. So these are historical, these are realities, historical parallels. Yet, the British still saw the Arabs as superior to the black people that they Christianized in Sudan, just the way the British saw the Fulanis to be superior to the black people they Christianized in Sudan. I'm not blaming the British. We are having an historical conversation. And this is not for you to hate the British. Why should you hate? This is you need to understand colonialism, just the way the Irish understood their history, the Scots understand their history, the Welsh understand their history. The greatest disservice that has happened to the black people is the inability for them to properly understand their history. Apart from having skills that will put food on your table, the most important knowledge every black man should have is the knowledge of their history. The Indians have a basic knowledge of their history. The Chinese have the basic knowledge of their history. The Malays have the basic knowledge of their history. A Japanese child of 6, 7, 8, 10 years has a basic understanding of their history. But all over the world, if you ever see any black man, most of them have zero understanding of their history. But what do we know best? We understand Islam. We understand Christianity. We understand music. We understand materialism. We have sold our soul instead of selling our soul to wisdom and understand who we are and why we are at the bottom of the food chain within the hierarchy of things in the world. We have sold our soul to hedonism, chronic materialism. If it is not prosperity gospel in churches, it is money at all costs in mosques. The society has become so materialistic. You are going to be hearing songs like, if you don't get money, if you don't get money, hide your face. We've glorified criminality. We've glorified corruption. We've glorified nonentity, mediocrity. And what happened? People that are ideologically strong are going to destroy us. So if you go to Sudan today, the tomb where Muhammad Ahmad, the leader of the Mahdi revolution, where he was buried, he is seen as a national hero. He is seen as the spiritual father of the Islamic State of Sudan. It's a symbol of conquest. It's a symbol of revolution. The same thing with Sudan and Nigeria is seen as the spiritual father of what, quote unquote, Arewa. So this is where, if you look at both of them are products of revolution in the real sense of it. The concept of Nigeria to an average Hausa, Fulani, or Kanuri is based on the Uthman Danfodio jihad. They draw their concept of Nigerianness from that revolution. The concept of Sudanese nationalism also is derived from the concept of the Mahdi revolution by Muhammad Ahmad. So it is the same. Ultra-Sunni jihadist puritanical movements. That is why it is normal for Islamist, political Islamist organizations to be springing up like pure water in the core north and in Sudan. So there was northern Nigeria, there was northern Sudan. There was southern Nigeria, there was northern Nigeria and southern Nigeria, and there was northern Sudan and southern Sudan. And it was the British that amalgamated these disparate people for their own political agenda. Now, many people have said the reason why the British amalgamated the core north Arewa with the rest of us was because of, oh, they did not have money in order to be able to manage their colonies, because the north is an economic deadweight on the rest of Nigeria. Now, what was the reason why they did the one in Sudan? By 1956, that was like some years after the Second World War. So why did you've seen what has happened in Pakistan, in India, where the Hindus have literally separated themselves from the Muslims? It has failed. The experiment has failed. Why did you do the same thing in Sudan and now you've seen the tensions in Nigeria? Now, why did you go ahead and amalgamate South Sudan and North Sudan in 1956? While making sure that power was in the hands of the radical North. So there has been this disdain. There has been this racism. There has been this arrogance that Northern Sudan used to look at Southern Sudan. The Northern Sudanese saw Southern Sudanese as inferior. Northern Sudan had this ideology that they are born to rule, that they are born to dominate, they are born to rule. That was how they looked down on Southern Sudan. The same thing we have in Nigeria, where some people believe that it is wrong for an infidel to be ruling the Federal Capital Territory. There are some things that we need to have a conversation about. We really thank President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for what he's doing. But unfortunately, a lot of our youth, not just amongst the Yoruba people, amongst other ethnicities, do not understand the ideological premises in many of the things President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is doing. They don't understand it. He has the audacity. Jonathan could not do it. OBJ could not try it. But Tinubu brought a Christian, a minority, to become the minister of the Federal Capital Territory in a place they call Arewa land. They've not forgiven him for it. And they are looking for all ways to teach him a lesson. I hope we've been able to, at least, I've been able to juxtapose. And Northern Sudan is a product of conquest. Northern Sudan was created by the colonialism and the invasion, subjugation, enslavement of the indigenous Black Nubian people. That was how Northern Sudan was done. So what you have in Northern Sudan is Arabization. The indigenous people were conquered in the 13th, 14th, 16th century, between the 13th century to the 20th century. Between 700 years, the Arab Sudanese became majority in Sudan, in Northern Sudan. Now, what do you have in Nigeria? Northern Nigeria is also a product of conquest. So what you have in Northern Nigeria is Fulanization. And they use, where they need to use Islamic Brotherhood, they deploy it. Where they need to use Fulani supremacy, they deploy it. To the extent that we've seen certain Yoruba people, young people, who actually do not understand what they are talking about, and they start talking like as if something is mentally wrong with them. They cannot separate between Arabization, Fulanization from the religion of Islam. But when the Arabs wanted to break the yoke of Ottomanism, Because one of the reasons why Ottoman Empire lost the First World War was this. Maybe we have to go into that reason. It was because the English, the Allies' power, the English and the French, were able to tap into Arab nationalism. So when the Ottoman Empire, the Sultan of the Ottomans at Istanbul, declared an holy war. Oh, all Muslims of the world, let us come together and fight against the infidels. The Arabs told him, we are Arab first. We are not going to fight your battles. That was where places like places like Jordan, Saudi Arabia, those are where those dynasties were formed. Iraq, Syria, because these warlords were turned into kings because they supported the destruction of the Ottoman Empire, which was a threat to the safety and stability and greatness of Western Europe. You can see what they did to Al-Jolani. Al-Jolani is an Arab supremacist, religious extremist, but he's being pampered even in the White House. Why? Because he was the tool that was used to destroy the powerful and great Assad dynasty. So he's being used as a poster boy to other warlords and militias in that area of the Middle East, that if you really play along with us, we will make you powerful. Look at how we've turned what we did in Kuwait. Look at what we did in Saudi Arabia. Look at what we've done in UAE. Look at what we've done with Bahrain. These people were never kings. It was the Europeans that turned these warlords into kings and emirs for their part and the role they played in the destruction of the Ottoman Empire. Now, I'm not here to glorify the Ottoman Empire, but I'm telling you the politics, the geopolitics that has happened for the past 100 years. That's 110 years. So, northern Nigeria is a product of conquest of the an alien Fulani race coming to using the political tool of Islam to subjugate the indigenous Hausa people. Another indigenous people in that northern Nigeria. Northern Sudan was a product of conquest where Arabs came in using war, violence, and the tool and using political Islam to conquer indigenous Nubian people. So you can see the similarity. Now, the next part that we actually need to talk about, because I've not actually dealt with the post-colonial intricacies that happened in Sudan. Now, Nigeria is a slow motion of Sudan. If we did not have powerful leaders in Yoruba land, the Yoruba people had been the factor that has actually impeded Nigeria from quickly escalating into another British India and another post-British Sudan. We are the ones that have stopped it. But unfortunately, because these people they don't know where to stop. They are bringing the chaos. If you destroy Yoruba land, that is the end of Nigeria. As we know it, all intolerant, radical ethnicities within Nigeria have started exporting what has turned their places into dead economic zones, and they are already transporting it into the southwest. And we're already seeing some Yoruba youths adopting this destructive, nihilistic ideology If it is not political Christianity, it is political Islam. If it is not that, it is the far left, far right, neoliberal leftist movement. All sort of nonsense is in the Southwest. And a lot of our political elites are even, they are not even aware. They're so detached from the people. They just want the best cars, the best airport. They don't, the what actually keeps Yoruba land safe for them, they are not interested in it. And to them, democracy is the 4 years rituals, that they do. That is what they think about. They are so happy. Oh, we will mobilize for election. They will be given politics. They will become youth leader. They will become SSA. That is all what they are for. And they are going to keep their families abroad. They will travel abroad, and some people will be leaking as, oh, yes, they will be doing all sorts of things so that people will notice them. Where are the politicians in Afghanistan? They've run away. Where are the politicians during the Shah of Iran? They've run away. So I'm going to talk about one important figure. And that figure is Al-Turabi in Sudan. And another figure is the father of the current Sheikh Gumi, the radical Islamic preacher that we currently have in Nigeria. His father was far, far more radical than him. The reason why many of you, when Sheikh Gumi speaks, and you seem to see that there's a lot of elite in the core north that actually subscribe to the ideology of Sheikh Gumi, it is because his father was far more radical than the son. So the father is the foundation of what you currently see in the core north. We don't talk about it here properly because some people will use religious sentiment to try and silence us. It is not going to work. But TYF, I've defended the right of Yoruba Muslims. I've defended the right of Yoruba Christians. I've defended the right of Yoruba Isheshi. This is talking about geopolitics. We need to understand where we are coming from. And this is not a call to hate. It is for you to be aware so that when some funny, sorry to use my word there, these loonies come on TV, on Twitter to start telling you about, oh, let us forget who we are. You are going to know that this is the deception. Let us just come together under one Nigeria. You are going to know this is a deception from the pit of hell. We are all patriotic Nigeria, but we are not going to forget, we are not going to lose guard our own area so that we are not going to be destroyed. Because there's destruction going on in Nigeria. And the government and their appointees, they are going to deny it. Look, what you see that APC is currently doing, put PDP there, they will do the same. Put Labour Party there, they will do the same. Because no matter who you are, no matter the political party, that everybody, once you get to Aso Rock, you must bow down to the Fulani hegemony. It's the bitter truth. And you are not going to stop that hegemony if we do not start calling it for what it is. This is democracy. We don't need to be afraid. If you're in Port Harcourt, if you're in Delta, if you're in Calabar, if you're in Akwa Ibom, you don't need to go to Kano, Katsina. They do not have the economic power to hold us hostage. You don't need to go to their place to travel out of Nigeria. You don't need them for anything. You don't need to go to their place to study. Now, let me tell you what they did in Sudan. What they are doing in Sudan, that's why I said, and they've also been very smart. This is what they are also using to recruit a lot of brilliant young Yoruba people into their ranks, especially the Arewa supremacists. They also paint these puritanical revivalist pan-Islamism that they are doing, which even though it is just Fulanization and Arabization, it has nothing to do with Islam. They say they paint it under anti-imperialist worldview. That is why if you look at political Islamic supremacists, Pan-Africanists, and neoliberal far left, they all work together because they are at the center point of their ideals. It is this anti-colonial, anti-imperial view. Every other thing they can forgo. They don't care. Millions of people are killed. They don't care if it's a military dictatorship. They don't care if ethnic minorities are subjugated. They don't care if the rights of indigenous people are destroyed. Once you are able to say, oh, we are fighting the white people, we are fighting the British, we are fighting Americans, you see them say, yes. That is why immediately America came out. Trump said, look, stop the killing of northern Christians. What did they do? They brought anti-America, and they brought that Shia, those illiterate Shia boys. They went to Abuja. Oh, America dead to America, because that is how they've been able. That is the focal point of their ideology. The far left, the diabolical Pan-Africanists, who believe that they can dissolve other ethnic identities to create their delusional one Africa. They don't care. They want to create one borderless Africa with Al-Qaeda, ISIS, Al-Shabaab. Have you ever seen Pan-Africanists discuss how they are going to stop Islamist terrorism in the Sahel? No. Sahel is the most dangerous place on the surface of the earth, and you never see Pan-Africanists discuss it. They don't care. It's all propaganda, doing propaganda for hardcore, hardline military dictatorship that kill dissent and destroy dissents. They destroy dissidents. There's a lot to unpack today. I don't think I'll be able to, because there's a lot to break down. In 1947, Abubakar Gumi met with the son of the person that started the Mahdi revolution. And that person was the Mahdist leader who came to Kano in 1947. His name was Ayatu Ibn Said. I hope people and the father of Abubakar Gumi was part of the companions of Uthman Danfodio that conducted the Danfodio revolution. Angia, because it's a revolution. It's politics. That's why I said politics is as important as the food you eat. It is as important as the air you breathe. It is as important as everything you do. We need a disciplined Yoruba youthful population. Whether you're a Muslim, you're a Christian, you need to be disciplined. You need to understand the politics of Nigeria. You need to be bold. When we started some years back, this ideology of Yoruba Ronu, we were bullied. Arise TV was attacking us, but we didn't stop. Some people thought it was just a tool of APC. Some people thought it's just a group of ragtag people, just a group of brainless thugs. But we told them we are Hawoists. Hawoism is back. With power, with vision, with vigor. But this is the only thing that will prevent the Yoruba people from becoming Darfur. Darfur was located in Western Sudan. And it had a lot of indigenous, non-Arab Muslim population. What was done to Darfur was what the Fulanis wanted to do to Western Nigeria. what you see in Kwara State would have been the entire fate of the entire Southwest, where they will be decimating us, killing us, and they are going to use religion to padlock our mouth and turn us into slaves. Why do you think some of our people cannot speak? Because they are confused. And when we have this kind of a conversation, they will so much demonize this kind of a conversation to ensure that, oh, don't listen to them. Oh, don't listen to them. Oh, don't listen to them. But we must continue to have this conversation. Like I said, Abubakar Gumi, the father of the current controversial Islamic cleric, Dr. Gumi, met with Ayatu Ibn Said, the descendant of Muhammad Ahmad, the leader and the founder of Ultra-Sunni Mahdist revolution that happened in Sudan in 1947. That was where there was the cross-fertilization of the Uthman Fodio revolution, revolutionary ideals, and the Mahdist revolutionary ideals, and northern Sudan and northern Nigeria became cross-fertilized ideologically. What actually slowed down Nigeria from going the way of Sudan as quick as possible, quickly, in the First Republic, was the advice that Chief Obafemi Awolowo gave to Gowon, that Gowon went to go and implement haphazardly, break up the regions and allow the different ethnicities have their own local states. That was what ethno-linguistic federalism. Gowon did not do it. He bastardized it. And I'm going to tell you why. Abubakar Gumi was the Grand Cadi of the entire northern region between 1962 to 1967. Now, let me tell you his ideology. He started the Izala sect movement. The Izala sect movement is the most radical political Islamist organization in the whole of West Africa. The difference between Izala sect movement and Boko Haram is that they are not carrying guns and they are not attacking the Nigerian states. One of the ideologies is that the Nigerian Muslims must not allow non-Muslims to rule them. That is what you saw people like El Rufai doing in Kaduna State. It was the ideology, is this ethnic supremacist ideology of the Izala state. That is the ideology of Pantami. That was what they taught this man. Chief President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was going to come and implement. They want the issue, those ideologies of Sudan to be implemented as soon as possible. They believe if there is a case of war, they are going to use chaos to further their agenda. They are not afraid of chaos and bloodshed. It is you that is talking, asking for peace. They don't care. Go and look at their talks, the way they talk, because they believe they can buy up the international community just the way they've been able to get away with the killings of millions of people in Sudan and getting away with it. Just the way they were able to get away with the killings of people in Afghanistan, just the way they've gotten away with the killings of people in Syria. This is just the way they get away with the killings of people in Yemen. They've studied your psychology. Your children have been materially corrupted. They are hedonistically backward. They are weak. They know no matter how much people like us talk, our political elite will not pay attention until it is too late. And they know our political elite are decadent. They stored up millions of dollars in Panama, in the Caribbean. They will run away. They will run away. So, Abubakar Gumi, the father of Gumi, with the father of the current Gumi was like the spiritual head of the Islamic jurisprudence in northern Nigeria. And what was northern Nigeria? Northern Nigeria had more than 40% of Christian population in the First Republic. So northern Nigeria, under the leadership of Ahmadu Bello, was being ruled as nothing but an Islamic state. So let me tell you the truth. If not for the death of Ahmadu Bello, not many of the ethnic minorities that are now making a comeback during their middle belt would have been exterminated through the use of politics, social engineering, and brute violence, like it was done in 1961. And the colonial masters was looking away. Because when the Tea Riot happened in 1961, the Governor General of Nigeria was still around. They saw the killings, the massacre of over 50,000 people in the Middle Belt. Nigeria is not what you think it is. It is not just one big happy family. It is a ruthless place where you need to open your eyes, Yoruba people. We've been the one that have been using our ability to organize, to use social advocacy, to fight against these monsters. But how long can you fight? These people can fight for 700 years till they conquer you. America understands this. Russia understands this. Britain understands this. Britain ran away from Afghanistan. Russia ran away from Afghanistan. America, with all its military might and power and gadgets, ran away from Afghanistan. Nigeria has been fighting ISIS, Boko Haram, for more than 15 years. Next year will be 16 years with no end in sight. Other theaters of war is coming left, right, and center, in the North Central, in the Middle Belt, in the Northwest. No end in sight. Because you are fighting an ideology. And one of the things that Abubakar Gumi was advocating for was that there must be Sharia law all over Nigeria. He said for Nigeria to know peace, there must be Sharia law all over Nigeria. There must be Sharia law all over Nigeria. That was what Abubakar Gumi was talking about. That the secularism of Nigeria must be destroyed. I am not making this up. These are written in many articles. He never believed in the secularism of Nigeria, yet he was the leader of that power, almost the number one in northern Nigeria. So immediately, the northern Nigeria was broken apart, and he lost his political funding under Ahmadu Bello. Under Ahmadu Bello, what did he do? He went back to Saudi Arabia and got full backing from the hardline Wahhabis, who gave him all the needed support. So so that was where the Izala movement and Al-Turabi. So Al-Turabi created the National Islamic Front. Al-Turabi created the National Islamic Front. The National Islamic Front is responsible the National Islamic Front was the Nigerian version. It was Nigerian version of the Izala set. The Izala set is just like the National Islamic Front. So the Izala set was created by Gumi, while Al-Turabi created the National Islamic Front. Go and look at their manifesto. Go and look at the agenda. Political Islam. The total subjugation of the indigenous people. The destruction of indigenous people. So when you look at this comparison, you should be scared. And when Nimeri became the president of Sudan in 1956-57, they first started with we are a democratic Republic of Sudan and all those other nonsense. Southern Sudan, and they said there's going to be Sharia law for Muslims in Sudan, and the rest of you are going to be using Christian laws. That was what they started in Sudan. And Southern Sudan came together, the Dinkas, the Noahs. They said, Equatorial, excuse us. This is not what we negotiated at independence. We are Christians, we are blacks, we are traditionalists. Some of us are also Muslims, but we don't want to use theocracy. We don't want Sharia law. We were two different entities. They amalgamated us. There is nothing called Sudan. You did not conquer us by sword. So they started playing up, oh, patriotism, the one Sudan, the one Sudan. Oh, you are not patriotic. You are not patriotic. Just the kind of thing you see within the Nigerian situation. What is this Nigerian? No, that's why some of us ask this question. What exactly is this Nigerian patriotism they talk about? What is it? What does it mean? Where there's no social justice, there's no equity, we cover up genocide, we lie, and we still open our mouth to call it, and you think because we are supporting President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we are going to join you to say there's no genocide? So that you are going to be given SSA position? Everything to you is about money, is about power, is about looking cool in the face of the Fulani oligarchs. So I think I've been able to lay down the foundation of the pre-colonial Nigeria, Sudan. I've been Sudan and Nigeria, the similarities. Before we now go into the nitty-gritty of the post-colonial discussion. My moderators have said I've just got 1 hour 30 minutes. Hopefully, we are going to continue next week for the part 2 of post-colonial Nigeria and post-colonial Sudan. What Izala sects have been doing, what the National Islamic Front did in Sudan, the role of Omar al-Bashir, the people like Pantami, why people like Pantami are dangerous and must be stopped, where people like Gumi, El-Rufai must be stopped, and people like Yerima must be stopped. We need to understand these fundamentals. Look, this is not a time for people to like you. People can remember when we all stood up to say we will never bow down to your Sharia shenanigans a few months ago. Many people blocked us. Many people threatened us. Have we not been proven right? It is a slow motion agenda. And we must never allow them to say, oh, Christians too, and let us go and start our own court. If Nigeria must be a secular country, if you do not want a secular country, go get out of Nigeria and go and declare your country. You must never move an inch. It is because we've not been organized to fight these people. They are taking us down the route of Sudan. And people like Sheikh Gumi, Pantami, there is a direct. That's why you are seeing people like Oloyede and some funny characters, Murik. All of a sudden, you are seeing them just shout. Anyway, they do not have the mental and intellectual capacity. It is because they've weaponized democracy. Look, what they've also seen, they would have loved to be under the military regime. The greatest mistake they made was to allow Tinubu to become the president. That's why people like Wike cannot be forgiven for what he did to them. So by the time a Fulani man uses 8 years, another Fulani man, Atiku, will use 8 years. Just like what the Ebira people are doing in Kogi State. You see what is happening in Kwara State. You see what is happening in Kaduna State. It is intentional. You see what is happening in Nasarawa State. They will lie to you. They know you are all just going to carry placard and shout. One more placard ni. One more pariwo ni. One more pariwo social media ni. They know many of your people are decadently corrupt. They will kill your leaders and you are going to call it Yoruba herdsmen. And your young political elites are going to call it Yoruba herdsmen. And when they are called out, they will disappear. No social responsibility. And they know how to weaponize I'm sorry, even though they said I want to my words. They know how to use some of your Arabized Yoruba people within your midst that are going to go about to tell you, oh, stop attacking Islam. They say you should stop killing people, stop killing indigenous people. You are telling us we are attacking Islam. To them of you, we live in the time of great delusion. They know many of you just want to have sex, enjoy your life. You have nothing. You have nothing going on. You are not thinking about your survival in the next 200 years. Mali is literally gone. Central African Republic, gone. Mali, Niger Republic, gone. Burkina Faso, propaganda that's not almost gone. Yet you think it is business as usual. Northern Nigeria, Zamfara, Katsina, Borno, Yobe. IDP camps, refugee camps. One of the things that Sudan produces is gold and refugees and oil and gas. One of the things Nigeria produces is internal refugees, gold, and oil and gas. It is the same. One more sheni. The jihadists, Oyo Empire rule, they caused massive displacement of people. And it was these refugee centers that created cities today. All over Nigeria, in Benue, in Abuja, and YDP camps, they are now putting Riba Osibe, putting Kosku Sibe, putting the cities. The same thing that happened is happening again, and you are laughing. They know it is a slow motion genocide. They are ready. They are not in a hurry. They have the time. You are practicing democracy. They are practicing theocracy. They are using the caliphate system. Somebody dies, they put in another thing. I've used this into Al-Qaeda. If somebody dies in Al-Qaeda, the leader of Al-Qaeda dies today, by second day, what's the mean? Same thing as Boko Haram, same thing as ISIS, same thing as Al-Shabaab. You think you are talking to people that, don't you see, a newspaper, town and county Trump saw. Didn't you see it? And they are telling you all is not well. All is not well. We need to have a conversation with the corners. If you don't do what law, bus stop don't do what law. Tinubu call it. Because once Tinubu is coming, they are coming back for their pound of flesh. My moderator is already looking at my face. And I don't want to be in trouble. Continue next week. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be mentioning how South Sudan fought with their lives to survive North Sudan. North Sudan wanted to exterminate South Sudan. That's why I will never allow people that support blasphemy, Sharia law, defend Abacha, support Pantami, defend Gumi, believe in Islamic supremacist ideology in a multi-religious country, to come and preach to me about patriotism. Never. Next week, we are going to go deep. This is just a prelude. But tactics no Sudan, 21 no Nigeria. And some of us like, oh my God. I've read this thing 10, 15 years ago. We've seen it. What is going on? Because they know that many of you don't know what is happening. That's why we are saying pan-Yorubanism. Pan-Yorubanism no ma shield the Yoruba from the madness that is happening. The Igbos are the people I pity the most. In the midst of this madness, and we see in Wabashima your state of origin and their state of residence, they are going to be totally 5 states when they will lose it because Yoruba people will survive. 5 states it's in one might lose it because the carnage is coming down. They are coming down. Look at Abuja. How many states don't surround Abuja? You look at Niger State, Kwara State, Kogi State, Benue State, Nasarawa, Plateau, Kaduna. Those are like the rings to around Abuja. Now, look at the security, his architecture. Kidnappers, there is almost like a kind of a siege along the major highway to surround the Luyen, Abuja. There's no single day they are not kidnapping on the roads that look least your special capital, and they are already kidnapping these Fulani militias across in the suburbs of Abuja. It is a gathering incursion. Just the way there was a siege of Kabul. Just the way there was a siege of Damascus, just the way there was a siege in Bamako, it's the same system. At a point in time, Zamfara, the capital of Zamfara, Gusau, was totally surrounded 4 years ago under Buhari. They had to go and do peace deal and pay many of these bandits, terrorists, for a kind of a peace. The Nigerian president wanted to go to his hometown in Katsina, and they had to go and pay these terrorists money, huge sum of money, in order to take back some anti-aircraft weapons they had. And they are telling you all is well. All is not well. We support the Nigerian military, but the propaganda is going to destroy us. You see them, the way they do peace, they are doing meetings with governors, and they're going to say the non-kinetic measures is now working. Now we are now having peace meeting with these people. Everybody is now going their way. Don't you understand that they have legitimacy? Don't you understand? When governors like according to what we heard, Kwara State governor was giving guns and ammunition to Mietiala and using them as vigilantes to be protecting Yoruba people that are now on the sanction list as a terrorist, that is going to be on the terrorist watch list of United States of America to be protecting the Yoruba people. And this is not the time. We will get Yoruba nation. One have opportunity. One have corner for you. Because they know the AU, ECOWAS, all of them are, their job is to maintain the 1884 colonial structures. Those organizations were not set up for the liberation and freedom of Africa. So that's why they are running about, America Tisoro. Because they are afraid. That is the only force they fear on earth. Some of you, and I see some of you are saying, oh, China. What the hell is China? China that is looking for how is going to invade Taiwan? China that built the biggest prison in the world to jail all its Muslims? Honestly, Tonaiba, I know. Why are you deceiving yourself? China built the biggest prison on earth to jail half of its Muslim population. All of a sudden, China has now become anti-West. It has now become the liberators of Muslims. You guys are hypocrites. You are hypocrites. You are all hypocrites. Because you know that you want to destroy the indigenous people of Nigeria. And many of you that you are doing pan-Islamism with these people, they won't rate you. You are a slave. You will end up like the Muslims of Darfur. You will end up like the Muslims of Abiy. You will end up like the Muslims of Funj. This is Fulanization, Arabization. This is a continuation of the Arab expansionism that was stopped close to 500 years ago. They could not spread. Now, the mosquito that stopped them is no longer there. One anti-malaria. So mosquito cannot stop them from coming into the tropics anymore. They can get vaccine. They can use mosquito vaccine. They can use mosquito and malaria vaccine. So the natural and biological defense you had is not stopping them this time around. They are coming down to destroy you. State police is no longer, it is a must for us to stand a chance. The Nigerian army cannot stop them. They are overwhelmed. So we are talking about, it's not even about, we're talking about the survival. The Nigerian people want to survive because the Sahel has collapsed. I'm going to stop here. We'll continue next week. I'm going to talk about the post-colonial policies of Sudan and Nigeria. What the Arab Islamic fundamentalists of Sudan did and how it is looking like exactly like what Pantami, Gumi, and other El-Rufai and Islamic supremacists in the Connaught are also doing. May Olodumare continue to bless us.
Thank you so much, Are, for that very impactful lecture. I said it earlier. I said, may God guide you. So what you said, I said instead of what you're going to say will be impactful. I just want to remind you about people. I saw something online earlier this morning where a bunch of racists were making fun of the entire Africa and Africans. And they were making statements such as that we couldn't even build an axe, talk less of block of wood. I mean, they said we couldn't cut a block of wood, that we couldn't do anything. We couldn't innovate. We couldn't achieve anything, that we complain. We only complain. We say we have a deep sea, so we couldn't move boat on it and all this kind of stuff. And when you think about it, when we think about the history, especially we Yoruba people, if you think about the history of Yoruba, you've heard of your ancestors cutting cuts. They cut cuts, and I've heard it's very difficult to cut. You need a special kind of laser to cut that. And they were cutting that all the way back then. So what's the challenges? What's the problem we have? If we talk about Yoruba itself, why are we in Nigeria in the first place? Let's think about Kiriji War. Kiriji War, why did that happen? It's lack of unity and understanding. We weren't well organized. weren't well structured, and we didn't understand that to survive, we have to band together. And that is why the West lead. They have a survival instinct. They fight each other about different resources, different policies or whatever. But when it comes to the particular moment where they need to understand that it's very imperative for them to band together, they set aside their differences for that moment and work together and try to stick to a plan. And they don't make a plan for elections or for 4 or 5 years or 6 years or 10 years. They understand where they're going for the next thousands of years. They've done the analysis, it's continuously done to know how much resources they need, how much population they're going to have, how's that going to span out, what would they be needing, where do they need to get them from? And we're in a era now whereby people are fighting for resources, and not just resources, to be the leading power globally. And we are just like, we are this like bunch of what would I call it? I already said it earlier, and it's been said so many times, even by them, like we are the bottom of the food chain. And why are we at the bottom of the food chain? Because we still don't understand. And when I say unity, I'm not talking about Pan-Africanism, because we're all different. We're all very different. But if you think about how they organize themselves in the West or even in the Arab world, they focus first on their own domain and structure themselves and have that respect from their peers. And from there, they work together based on their identity, their philosophy, their ideology. And in Africa, for that to happen, each African country and ethnic groups within those countries need to first band together, have their own sense of ideology, what it means, what this being here, being on earth means to them, why they still want to be here for the next thousands of years. And we Yoruba, we've not gotten this right. We're still repeating the same mistake that we made during Kiriji War. And as a matter of fact, it's to the extent whereby you are putting materialistic ideals above your survival. Because I'll tell you one thing that I remember quite well. When the Ukraine war started, it didn't matter to me whatever I have in my house, because I saw the video. I saw people trying to get out of their cities. And I thought to myself, how would I move all this stuff I have in my house? How am I going to get out if something happens? If this war spreads down to this side? And we were all anxious. And everyone knew, like a lot of people online, influencers, they knew that this is going to cause anxiety for a lot of people. So what did they say? They told us to stay calm and to take life a day at a time. Because we were seeing this in real time. We were seeing people within Europe. I mean, I wasn't born in the era where they had their war. I didn't experience it. So it's new to us, especially we millennials. So seeing this, that was very scary. So it's good that you like good things in life. Nobody says you should not like it. But it's worthless if you can't survive. It means nothing. It means nothing to any of us. So I will engage you now and say to you that so far, we've talked about state police. And we've said it's very imperative for us to have it. And we know it's going to be quite difficult because we know we need at least, I think we need 24 states to agree to it. So what else do we need to do? And how else could we start urging our president? Because we know that, I've said it to Yoruba people, we can't expect that because he's a Yoruba man, we should just say nothing. We need to start demanding. We need to start applying pressure. Because your body language is saying, oh, you're just waiting for it to happen. It shouldn't be that way. You should start screaming now. You should start demanding. So aside from state police, what else should we ourselves, should we be doing? I know we should be giving lectures. We should be talking to each other at home with our friends, families, and educating each other about what is happening. But what else can we do as communities to try to at least be prepared for what is coming? Because it's looking like, I wouldn't say it's too late. It's not too late, but it's looking like it's already here. And we need to start doing something before it starts to get terrible, before it starts to get worse, before something starts to go off in Lagos or any other part of the Southwest, because we've already seen what is happening in Kwara. We see people crying in Kogi. I've seen 2 videos at least today now of someone crying, a Yoruba man crying. I mean, 2 Yoruba men actually crying in Kogi State because of this insecurity. So they feel helpless. And if it's this terrible for them, how much worse would it be when it starts to spread to Southwest? Because if anyone is paying attention, during the week, we had a statistic whereby they said the Western world, I think it would be US, released some information about states that their citizens shouldn't visit. And out of this list, it was only Southwest that was missing, which means we had the only space so far that's still a bit sane. And even at that, you're hearing of people coming into our space who are influencers, and they believe in political Islam and they preach about this stuff. They're already coming to our space and we're allowing it. And we're not doing anything about it. We're not speaking against it. We're not speaking out against it. Some people are not even aware of it. They are ignorant about what is happening. So what can we do as a community ourselves? And at the same time, how can we start telling the government? What else do we need to tell them? We need.
Thank you. Thank you very much. God bless you, Ma, for that wonderful submission and for that wonderful rendition. Firstly, we need to organize as a people. What is going to happen is beyond the government. The reason why Maduguri did not fall to the hands of Maduguri should have been history. There was a town in Adamawa called Mubi. It was taken over by Boko Haram, and Boko Haram renamed it. But you know what the indigenous people Kanuri did? They organized themselves, took up arms, and fought these people. We don't pray it gets to that level in Yoruba land, because it would have been so late. Too late. Because in Maduguri, what happened was mothers, fathers were calling the Nigerian army and pointing to their children. Pick my child. This is a member of Boko Haram. When it got messy, in order to be able to have lasting peace. So the Yoruba people need to band together at this period of time and embrace Yoruba nationalism. And for us to be able, because a good example is what is happening, at least out of Africa, was what happened in Syria and Iraq. And the reason why I'm using Syria and Iraq is that the Kurdish people in Iraq were able to have their own form of regional and state police that is still protecting them till now, that protected them from being wiped out by ISIS. The reason why the Shiites were able to a little bit survive ISIS was that the Shiite people had population. So if you have a population of 20, 30 million, at least they kill 5, 6 million, they could survive. Because I look at the population and the demography of Syria, of Sudan. The Darfur people that are being wiped out are just 3 to 4% of the population of the current Sudan. They are minorities of the minorities. So what these terrorists have perfected is the art of asymmetrical warfare. They don't fight conventional warfare. They hit, look, let me tell you the truth. The population of the guys that are destroying and holding Nigeria and other stage, killing thousands of our soldiers, these guys are not even up to 10,000 soldiers. What was the population of the soldiers of ISIS that were killing and maiming in Iraq and Syria? These are things that you can read online. And the reason why we've not been able to solve this problem is because it's an ideological war. An ideological war needs ideological solutions, and it is not poverty. Sheikh Gumi is not poor, yet he is a radical. In fact, the more they become more wealthy, the more they become more radicalized. So the Yoruba people need to start raising the alarm. It was the alarm we raised that gave us Amotekun. If not for Amotekun, we would have been on that list. People forget that it was very, very terrible in the southwest under Buhari. They were killing in Oyo State, killing in Osun, killing in Ondo. Now it was because we have a security system that is functioning at just 10%. That is giving us a form of respite. So the army of Amotekun, there must be a look, all these constitutional issues, there are some things that are national emergency. There is a thing that is called national emergency to solve these killings. It is because there's a lot of no, people don't actually the lives of a black man. I'm sorry, I don't want to use some terms. I'm trying to pick my words carefully. If it was white people that are being killed in Middle Belt, America would have been bombing everywhere. You won't even be asking questions. You think it's going to be white Arabs that are being killed in Darfur, and you are going to be doing propaganda with that? They would never accept it. Because there's a kind of a brotherhood code. Anybody with a Caucasian features must not be seen in that state of anarchy. See the bloodshed, raping, maiming, raping pregnant women and killing them, going to hospitals, blowing them into pieces. These are crimes against humanity that you only saw in Congo in the 70s and the 80s. Now it is what you see again in Africa. And some of you are doing politics alone for you. They don't even give you this money regularly. They don't even give you 10,000 naira a month. And you think one day they will pick you. They know what we're saying is true. That is why we need to build this institution into a formidable institution to put these people in check, internationally and locally. I don't want to divulge more. Like I say, Voxi Populi, Voxi Dei. The voice of the people is the voice of God. Down question.
Yeah, thank you, Ari. Thank you so much. I'm going to transition now into moderation, into Q&A moderation. Everyone that want to speak should now take the mic on stage or should call our number. I believe, just a moment. That would be 234-901-075-5121, the WhatsApp number you should call. So I'm going to hand over to Baba Bakari. But before I hand over to you, sir, Mr. Montero, do you have anything you would like to add to this conversation, please? Hello, is anyone there? Baba, are you there, sir? Mr. Montero?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, okay, we can hear you now.
Can you hear me? All right. Thank you. Well, what I would like to add is the fact that despite despite dividing Sudan into two, it seems as if the killings even increased. Perhaps they felt if they were separated, maybe there would be peace. But we are seeing the exact opposite. And that is a lesson for us, for those who are fixated on secession.
Let me
If we
explain. Sorry,
cannot get it right as a
let me
people.
quickly come into that, because that is a lot of it's a point on the subliminal level. What you said is true, but geopolitically, we need to explain what's happening. When Yugoslavia broke apart, the killings in Croatia stopped. The killings in Slovenia stopped. The killings in Serbia proper stopped. The killing in North Macedonia stopped. The killings in Albania stopped. Where the killings continued was in Kosovo and Bosnia and Herzegovina. Why? The reason was because those places were still chronically heterogeneous. The ones immediately Sudan broke into two. Sudan was supposed to break into 5 countries. Darfur was supposed to have their own, in fact, was supposed to have their own independence referendum in 1994. Àwọn Arab lọ dàbẹ̀yẹn rú ni. And those people also took up arms to say it is our right. Are we not your fellow Muslims? It is our right. We want to have our own independent country. That was the agreement the French and the British gave us in 1909. Why are you not killing us? They were killing them because there was gold. Most of the gold in Sudan is from that area, and those people want to leave Sudan. So most of the killings you see in Sudan today, Sudan proper, was against the indigenous people, against the black people. They want to make that place 95% Arabs by 2050. And they are succeeding. 60 years ago, North Sudan was just maybe 40% Arab. Now it is 70% Arabs. Most of the people have been displaced. They've run away to Chad. I hope you are getting the picture, Mr. Lewis. So,
yes, I understand. Yeah.
Àwọn black people tí wọn ò pátán ni wọ́n continue pé pátán ń ṣe síra wọn. So ó dàbí ìgbà tí Nàìjíríà bá pín sí kí àwọn Yorùbá tó wà ní Kwara State kẹ́ wá kó wọn sínú Northern Nigeria. Ṣé ẹ pẹ́ tí mọ̀ pé pepper soup nìyẹn? Mr. Lewis.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni, mo wà ń bí.
Mo ní ṣe tí mo tún mọ̀ pepper soup nìyẹn.
Á para wọn dáadáa.
Wọn ò para wọn o. It is not true fighting o. Wiping out ni. Wipe out. Àwọn torí ẹ̀ ní middle belt fi ń ké. Torí àwọn tí envisage ànukú làwọn wà. They are in the belly of the beast. Ẹ̀ẹ́dẹ̀ rí sìn ní White House. Trump called them the middle belt of Nigeria. Wọn ò pè wọ́n ní Northern Nigeria mọ́ o. So the middle belt is now on the world map. And what Awolowo did for them, they would forever be grateful. Tí gan wọn implement yẹn. Benue State, Plateau State, and Taraba State. Those states that they completely control the entire political architecture. Ibẹ̀ náà ti ń support our brothers from all other states. Àwọn tó fẹ́ kó wá sí ọ̀rọ̀ Sudan. Àwọn tó fẹ́ fà wá sírìn lọ́wọ́ Sudan, òun làwọn Zikist. Tó ti fẹ́ máa gbé ọ̀rọ̀ if Nigeria based tomorrow, let us have Southern Nigeria Republic. Wọ́n fà sírìn ni o.
Epo lépo ló ń wà.
Ọ̀rọ̀ epo légbélé onílẹ̀ ni, so another war wà bẹ̀rẹ̀ season film. So I tún máa waste another 100 years in madness. Torí ẹ̀ la fi ń pariwo pé ẹ má ẹ̀kí kíní ìkulẹ̀ bàjẹ́ jù báyìí lọ. Ethno-linguistic federalism kóníkálukú wà láyé rẹ̀. Ṣùgbọ́n ìwọ tó lájẹ̀ndà tó believe pé Kogi State is part of Fulani land. Because when they say Arewa, when they say Muslim, when they say Northern Nigeria, when they say One North, what it means is Fulani supremacy. Those are ethnonyms for Fulani power structure in Nigeria. And one day, tọ́ bá ti rí pọ́n ti fẹ́ ká wọn wọ́n wà lọ mú middle belt dìdìrín kan wọ́n ti síwájú wọ́n múrú àwọn iṣẹ́ àkọlé èdè wọ́n fún ní general secretary wọ́n support ẹ̀ kó mọ jẹ JAMB registrar lọ wọ́n fi ṣe figure head the same thing na fẹ́ ṣe fáṣíwájú Bọ́lá Ahmed Tinubu pé wọ́n kọ́kọ́ fi a moderate Muslim wọ́n kọ́kọ́ tó jẹ́ Yorùbá man òní wọ́n fi kọ́kọ́ run Muslim agenda wọn. By the time it's 2031 wọ́n á lọ gbèrú El-Rufai or Pantami àwọn ruthless fundamentalists wọ́n wá gbé irú Arẹ́gbẹ́ṣọlá wọ́n wá fi ṣe kìíní ẹ̀ wọ́n fi ṣe deputy ẹ̀ lábáwá dáràn. I'm saying this openly. Wọn kí ẹ báwù yìí kẹ kú dànù báwù nígbà tí Fúlàní terrorist tán pààyàn káàkiri ní Nàìjíríà under Buhari kí náà sọ? What did they say? When Fulani herdsmen were killing people under Buhari, they said, give up your land or you are going to be killed. That was what Asurok was saying. And we saw young politicians coming out to say, well, if you give out 3,000 acres of land in Osun State, look at the economy of milk, look at the economy of cow, look at the economy of chicken breast, look at the economy of cow dung. We are gone. We are gone because what you are hedonistic. They are worshiping mammon. It's all about money. It's all about material benefits. They are decadent.
Ẹ jọ̀ọ́ mi mọ̀ bóyá ẹ wo interview Buba Galadima yìí ó sọ openly pé orí OPC ti fẹ́ gba Ìlọrin
OPC ò gba Ìlọrin
nǹkan tó ń sọ nìyẹn nítorí ẹ̀ ló ṣe lọ gbé Buhari wá.
In 1984, let me explain what happened. Mo ti sọ ní problem Kwara èdè ló ń di Yorùbá ni. Inú mi dùn tí àròlé Oòduà Kádé pẹ́ lórí kíbà tó pẹ́ lẹ́sẹ̀ o. I saw him in Kwara State today to when he went to go and tọ́lọ gbé Adélé ẹlẹ́rìn ọ̀fẹ́rin lé lórí. 20 years ago, ẹni ọba tán bá bí dá ní Kwara State tó bá ever allow kí Aláàfin Ọọ̀ni of Ifẹ̀ dí ọ̀dọ̀ òun ọba yẹn wọ́n máa sọ́mọ̀nẹ̀ sí Emir Palace ní that following Monday tí ó lọ kúnlẹ̀ tá lọ káwọ́ sókè pé yes sir ó yá káwọ́ ẹ̀ sókè ó yá díjú àwa ọ̀kan ní kó ṣe tọ́ọ̀chì ọ̀tọ̀ ó lè wá wà báyẹn for many days kan tó máa fẹ́ wò bóyá wọ́n á tún sí sálárì ẹ̀ bẹ̀tì ìyá máa jẹ́ gan for the next 10 years. So àwọn ọba wa kàn ń dọ́gbọ́n ni many of them gan bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní wéláwà ní wọ́n bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní wétọ̀ bá ipò yes great grandfather àwọn Fúlàní ni so àwọn náà they are part of it. It's true for their own survival. Now our leaders our obas are now bold ní Kwara because after so many years of sustained pushback, we've been able to fight back. Our obas have broken that yoke. Pé kí ló ń bọ̀ lókè tí ilé ògbà? Ẹni
owó yẹn kan wà lókè.
Ó ń ṣe 30 kìíní anniversary kìíní. How many of tẹ́lẹ̀ àwọn ọba Yorùbá sì lọ mọ́ kúnlẹ̀. Nobody does that anymore.
Wọ́n là lẹ́ni tó fẹ́ béèrè question.
So ẹ jẹ́ kí n parí ẹ̀ tí mi ti dá question yìí tán.
Okay. All right.
Question tẹ́ béèrè yẹn lè. In 1984, between 1979 and 1983, there was an Ebira governor then. Ní old Kwara State because àwọn Ebira àti Okun they were also part and parcel of old Kwara State. Do you ṣe mọ́ tó ṣe ṣá? Àwọn indigenous ọba tó ń wà nínú Ìlọrin Emirates tán pé Ìlọrin Emirates yẹn ó kàn upgrade wọn ló dẹ̀ sọ wọ́n dọba. Ọba Jẹ́bà wà ń bẹ̀, Mòró wà ń bẹ̀, àtàwọn ọba míì tó jẹ́ ọba ṣẹ̀ǹbáyé tí àwọn pípù yìí àwọn kẹ́nìmánì tán ti fi agbára tẹ̀ lórí ba táwọn jihadist tí wọ́n gba adé lọ́wọ́ àwọn ọba wa. But we got it back. It was an Ebira governor that did it. Ìyẹn ò rán wọn, wọ́n threaten live ẹ̀ burúkú. It was in MPN. Ibi tí wàhálà yẹn ti wá ń bẹ̀rẹ̀, bàbá Awólọ́wọ̀ dẹ̀ wà live. Awólọ́wọ̀ ọ̀rọ̀ Yorùbá North yẹn, Pa Josiah Ọláwọyìn was alive. Àwọn gladiators, the best of the best intellectuals, the best of the best intellectuals were still alive. Pa Ọláwọyìn was alive, and Naoro was alive, Rewane was alive. They rest in peace. By 1983-84, UPN, which was Ẹgbẹ́ Yorùbá ní, Ẹgbẹ́ Awólọ́wọ̀ ní, bá ṣe win ní election Kwara nìyẹn with a radical Yorùbá nationalist. Ṣé ń gbọ́ Mr. Lewis?
Yeah, mo ń gbọ́.
Kò tó 3-4 months tán fi ṣe coup. Wọ́n ṣe coup báyìí, wọ́n lé gbogbo wọn dànù ni. The second thing tán ṣe gbogbo àwọn ọba tí wọ́n upgrade yẹn pátá òní wọ́n downgrade padà. In tí Buhari kọ́kọ́ fi ṣe national policy nìyẹn. I say some of us, ó kàn ṣe ń try láti change ni. He's a Fulani supremacist, true and true. So it was ọ̀rọ̀ Kwara. Come about Bọ̀sán Yorùbá padà sí the liberation of the Yorùbás of Kwara. Òun ni wọ́n fi fund the coup 1983-84. So they could wọ́n sacrifice Shagari, a northern, a Fulani president, because they wanted to destroy the Yorùbás of Kogi and Kwara. Do you see how tough it is?
Because
the power of the governor, they knew what is happening there. That is why a coup is needed now for them, because they want to checkmate Fintiri. What Fintiri has done to them in Adamawa. Fintiri has destroyed them in Adamawa.
ó gba oyè lọ́wọ́ Àtíkù fúnra ẹ̀ náà.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni, ṣé mo ti dáhùn
Ọlọ́run ti rán wọn ṣẹ́, kò rán wọn ṣẹ́ rárá.
Ẹ jẹ́ kí àwọn speakers ẹ jẹ́ ká sọ̀rọ̀. Ẹ ṣé.
Okay, Mr. Jolomi, Madam Ajoke.
Ẹ ṣé gan, Mr. Olúwọlé Ààrẹ, like always, ẹ ṣé ẹ kú ohùn látàárọ̀. Thank you so much. Ẹ ṣé gan. In fact, lecture yín tèmi yìí ó strong. Ọmọ Yorùbá, ẹ má jẹ́ ká sùn. Though mo ní follow-up question, but ẹ jẹ́ ká kọ́kọ́ lọ pẹ̀lú àwọn speakers wa. So tí àwọn speakers wa tán wà lórí stage tán bá ti ṣe tán, then màá béèrè question mi. So Madam Adetutu, ṣé wà ńbẹ̀? Ẹ káalẹ́ mà o, good evening. So go ahead, à ń gbọ́ yín, gbogbo lé ń gbọ́ yín.
We can't hear her. Sorry, ma, we can't hear anything she's saying. Go on.
Oh yeah, Madam Adetutu, ẹ gbóhùn sókè.
Go on, rárá o.
Àwọn gan sọ̀rọ̀ for now.
Okay.
Madam Adetutu, tẹ́ bá ń gbọ́ wa àgbọ́ yín o.
Yeah, it was muted. Okay. Hear me, please.
Yeah, I'm going. Go ahead.
Okay. Today your message was quite. So is anybody speaker on person coming from echoing back?
Yes, there's the feedback. So I think there are too many speakers on. on the
It's
space.
echoing back.
Hello?
Maybe the host can mute them if he sees any open mic.
Are we all right now? Babakari, is everything all right? Someone needs to open their mic here because we can't hear anything on this end.
Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you very well now. I can hear you very well.
Sorry, can everybody hear me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Okay. When I was speaking about when I was looking at this middle girl's killing, something crossed my mind, and I realized that this ever since Trump spoke about the killings and everything, the killings have gotten worse. Can everybody hear me? Okay, so the killings have gotten worse, and my voice is echoing back, please. The host, please, can you unmute your mic?
There's something to do about it first.
Host,
My
please
voice,
mute.
host, please, can you mute your mic? My voice is echoing back.
Mr. Abe, mute. Ó dàbẹ̀ ní pé ọ̀dọ̀ yín ni on echo. Mute. Bóyá kémi lo speaker àtẹ̀mí. Bóyá ó máa better. Àgbọ̀yìn ò tẹ́ bá ń sọ̀rọ̀ àgbọ̀yìn.
Okay, let me start talking. So, I asked a question on the group on someone. So I don't know if I should ask the question out here. Well, we're looking at what's going on now. The dynamics of everything has changed, and it's like as if people are being exposed that this is what you're actually doing, and everybody knows what you're actually doing. The international people already know that this is what you're actually doing. So my question is, when it comes to 2027 now, because everybody's looking at the election, and that's what everybody's, that's what everybody's focusing on and everything. So my question is it not like I don't know if I should be saying this out. It's not like these people are going to like strike a very hard bargain. Like if you want us to vote for you, if you want us to keep you in power, you have to do this and you have to do that. And whatever it is that you're going to negotiate is not going to favor. It's not going to favor the Southwest. It's not going to favor any other part of Nigeria. So I think right now, I think Tinubu is in a very tight position. Is in a very hot position, and I think that it's Yorubas now that have to kind of determine their fate, because it's going. Even if we're going to look away from it, these people are going to drive a very hard bargain. If they are going to require a certain amount of power. They are going to. I don't want to say what they are going to actually do, but if anybody is following my train of thoughts and everything, they are going to drive a very, very hard bargain to protect themselves and to continue the continuous killings. So what I'm thinking is that this restructuring thing and everything, because it looks like Tinubu wants to get into power second term before he does them. Is it not better to start putting them in place now? Because by 2027, these people are going to make a bargain with him, because that is what they have been doing. But now it's becoming that their plan and everything is becoming very obvious, and they don't want anything to thwart it. So in anticipation of the fact that they are going to bring out this very hard bargain, and they're going to look, if you want us to vote for you, you have to do our bid, you have to cover up for us, you have to make sure we are going to continue what we want to do. Just I don't want to list them out, but we all know what they're going to do and everything. So, in anticipation for that, what are should I say Yoruba power blocks? Should I say Yoruba governors and everything? What are they doing to, counter that in case maybe when Tinubu gets into power by 2027, his hands are tied because he has made some kind of bargains for him to get into power? So that's my question.
Thank you
I'm
so
done.
much.
Please, did anybody hear me?
Thank you so much for that wonderful question.
Hello?
Madam Moderator, to arrange for down question here, arrange for attend to question here. Okay? Continue. Go ahead.
Okay.
I don't think
Number
my
one.
question is understood.
Okay. So number
Did anybody hear my question? Alright, did you hear my question?
yes.
We heard you. We heard you. I just about answering your question.
Okay, thank you. Number one. Ọlọ́run aṣọ́wájú 2027 lọ. Let me tell you the truth. If for the first time, a Yoruba man has been able to create a power block between the Southwest, the South, and the Middle Belt is currently coming in. No matter what happens in 2027, it is not the core north that is going to make Tinubu the president in 2027. It was not them that made him the 2020 president in 2023. Because we saw when the federal government of Nigeria was making policy to sabotage the presidential candidates of their own party. So, 2027 is going to be Southwest, Southwest, Middle Belt, and some aligned states in the north. That's all. But the core oligarchs don't want him back. That's why if we are not hearing rumors of coup today, we are seeing article coming the following. We are saying El Rufai and Co. scheming.
Please, mute your mic.
So that is the situation. So there is nothing like being Eldo stage. And because if you look at you have to look at the political landscape. The second term of Obasanjo should have done more. Let's say he had the right mind to control injustice in Nigeria, but the man is more of his own political ambition, personal achievement. Because Obasanjo should have liberated undo all this damage. But because he wanted to become a third-term president, he sabotaged the rest of us and was now bowing down to the caliphate. Tinubu, I don't think Tinubu does not have any ambition of third term of becoming the life president. Because if you look at the second term of Obasanjo against Buhari, it was the Southwest, Middle Belt that gave him victory. The entire Northwest and Northeast voted overwhelmingly for Buhari. The statistics are there. It was the Southwest, South, Middle Belt that gave President Jonathan the presidency in 2011. So what exactly are we talking about? They are not as important as you think it is. That is why when you say we are talking about middle belt, they are peeing in their pants. Because if you take the middle belt votes, you take the vote of Plateau, take the vote of Kogi, take the vote of Kwara, take the vote of Taraba, take the vote of Nasarawa, take out the vote of Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, take out the vote of Southern Kaduna, take out the vote of half of Niger State. The entire vote you are going to get from their so-called North, you only might do 5 million gun. 6 million. That is why any form of identity cohesion amongst the non-Hausa Fulani bloc in that former area of the called northern region, they will use any means, political violence, chaos to destroy it. And that's why you look at the service chiefs, critical leaders, technocrats and administrators that Tinubu has been employing, from military to police to custom, NNPC, has been coming from the middle belt. It is strategic. So the die is cast. After 2027, I'm expecting more fireworks. And we hope it's going to give us the liberation that we all need, so as to create Nigeria that will be equal for everybody, where some people will not believe that they are superior than the rest of us. Next question, please.
Eshe Are, thank you so much. Hopefully, Madam Adetutu, wọ́n wà satisfied pẹ̀lú ìdáhùn yẹn, because wọ́n wà nínú listener nísìn, wọn sí ní speaker. Madam Adetutu, ẹ lè kàn ṣe thumbs up tó bá jẹ́ pé respond ààrẹ yẹn wà okay fún yín. Otherwise, ẹ lè kọ further question yín sínú group sínú chat. Thank you so much. Ẹ ṣeun. Mr. Ronnie. Mr. Ronnie, ṣé wà ńbẹ̀?
I just want to say, please remember 2 minutes for each speaker.
No problem.
Nashima.
All right, no problem. Ẹ ṣeun. Ó dà ní kí Mr. Ronnie ò sí ńbẹ̀. Ọ̀gbẹ́ni Saheed Olùṣọ́, ṣé wà ńbẹ̀? Olúṣọlá. Mr. Saheed Olúṣọlá, ṣẹ́yìn wà ńbẹ̀? Okay, I think we'll move forward. To Mr. Okay, Mr. Ronnie. Ṣé ti wà ńbẹ̀ ni, torí ó dà ní pé open speaker yín nísìn. Otherwise, ká tẹ̀síwájú.
Èmi ni Ronel, èmi ni.
Okay. Mo dẹ̀ ti fẹ́, mo rò bẹ́ẹ̀ náà o. Ẹ jẹ́ ká tẹ̀síwájú nìyẹn. Ẹ kálẹ̀, Mr. Saheed, ẹ jọ̀ọ́, ẹ bá wa take 2 minutes.
Can you hear me, ma?
À ń gbọ́ yín loud and clear. Ẹ tẹ̀síwájú.
Can anybody hear me?
À ń gbọ́ yín sẹ́, loud and clear.
So no one can hear me. Yeah, you got me.
À ń gbọ́ yín sẹ́, à ń gbọ́ yín.
Can't hear anything. We can't hear anything at all. You're all muted on this end.
Right? I had two of them. Right? And the second one, by the way, they wanted to implement Sharia nationwide. So I'm trying to ask if they fought from 2005, right? For that long, that's like 22 years. 23 years. How do you go about explaining that? How do you go about explaining because someone was arbitrarily.
Excuse me. Who is the host? Who is the host on
Yes.
T-Wife Park on the space?
So, Kini, what exactly is it? The first war, civil war was
Mute.
and then another 23 years of civil war.
There's a problem on the space. There's someone with the mic on or someone that is listening.
Host. Shelly Baba mute. Who is hosting?
Babakari is the host. He's
Babakari, host, check. Mic.
His mic is muted here.
It's not muted.
On our end here, his mic is muted.
on the Twitter space, it is opened.
On the space, it's open. It's not muted.
Right.
Okay, so Mr. Said, because we have to round up in the next 15 minutes. Mr. Said, you have the very question.
We can't hear him at all.
He's still muted.
Mr. Tolomi. Okay.
What I asked was, it was how given that Sudan already fought two civil wars, right? Before 17 years, the second one, 2 or 3 years. That second one, they wanted to implement Nigeria nationwide, which was part of the reason that war happened. But one for 2 decades. After 2005, when she accord, but I don't understand what exactly is it. I know it cannot be one thing, but what reason does she change? Like, I know
where is that? Is it in South Sudan?
Oh, the turning Southern Nile into and all of that. After they are still fighting. Over what exactly? Who else are still fighting each other? I thought all the indigenous people were gone. Because I don't understand it.
Are you asking about the fight in Sudan?
Thank you. That's the question.
Ejekin, that is the question, actually. Tomorrow, Mr. Said wants ní orí bóyá wọ́n pẹ́ kan tó dé, because question tẹ́ bèrè yẹn, that was nǹkan tí ààrẹ ṣe lecture lé lórí náà nìyẹn.
Yes, I've asked the question. I've answered the question.
Exactly. Bóyá after.
Let me finish. Let me quickly do it.
Okay. Hold on, because I don't want us to be too long. You already make a comparison. You said the way the Igbos are saying we should have Southern Nigeria, that if we do that, it will create a problem. So that is what
apart in Sudan, what they did in Sudan was in layers. So just like the way you see Fulani people going about now, they will kill people. We have Fulani speaking militias killing people across Nigeria, and they don't want to take responsibility. So when they are called out, both locally and globally, internationally, they are quick to shout, "Oh, pan-Islamism! Oh, we are brothers in Islam! Oh, they are attacking Islam!" As if I don't know who made them the custodian of Islam. Mento Finch jẹ́ custodian of Islam. Inter share is British colonialism. Kò fẹ́ ẹ̀yin kọ́ lẹ mú Islam wọlé Yorùbá. So that's number one. So immediately they were telling everybody, oh, the Christians are the problem. Now, when the Christian South left Sudan, what did they do? They now left pan-Islamism. They now started on pan-Arabism. So they now descended on Muslims that were not Arabs, and that they wanted to take their lands. Yoruba ń ké fún àwọn kan ní Kwara State ń sìn. Tán ké fún àwọn kan nínú Niger State that you cannot do pan-Arawanism with these people. What they are doing is Fulani supremacy. That is why, because Darfur supposed to also negotiate their freedom out of Sudan. They didn't do it because many of their leaders were bought because of Islamic Brotherhood. So majority, 4 out of 5 people being killed in Sudan today are black people in Sudan that are being killed by Arab militias that are also Muslims. And I know that after they are done wiping out all the non-Arab speaking Muslims, all the non-Arabs, but who are Muslims in Sudan, they will now deal with themselves because there's also racism, hierarchy within the Arab world. The Eastern Sudanese Arabs think they are more racially superior to the Western Sudanese Arabs. They see the Western Sudanese Arabs as inferior. They are Arabized, they are lesser Arabs. Okun kan tí ogun RSF yìí àti ogun Sudanese army tógun heavily. There's ethnic sentiment there. Many of the Arab nomads that are in the RSF, the Janjaweeds, they believe they are fighting this war to get equality in the Arab world, and they will fight it to death. So I hope I've been able to answer that question. So you can see next question. Motive that question going earlier.
Mr. Said, ṣé question ṣó ti yé yín nǹkan tí ààrẹ ṣàlàyé, ṣé ẹ wà satisfied pẹ̀lú respond ààrẹ? Because it's all about wọ́n fẹ́ wipe àwọn indigenous people kúrò ní orílẹ̀ wọn ní kí wọ́n gbalẹ̀ wọn. Tẹ́ bá tí àlàyé ààrẹ bá yé yín.
Yes, ma.
Okay, Mr. Alabioya, go ahead. Ẹ káalẹ́.
Can't hear him clearly. We can't hear him clearly, sir. We can't hear him clearly, Mr. Jalomi.
So I was trying to say, I think you also need to enlighten people regarding what happened in the Second Republic when Adamu Atta won the governorship election in Kwara State then, before the son of Kogi. When a lot of nurses and teachers were persecuted, I took the intervention of the then Oyo State with people like most of Kwara South were UPN lawyers. That they took jobs from most people, from area that most of them had to go and start working in the state then. And also I also wanted to highlight what happened after Mohammed Lawal started now some restructuring in Kwara State when he wanted to create a membership structure in Kwara State. Another third one, I would want you to give an insight of the evil Richard Akindele did, who was the legal advisor of the Sule Gambari then, when there was a legal issue concerning the state of the emirate status in 1976 or so. Yeah. Thank you.
We can't hear anything anymore.
Mr. Alabi, Eshe, thank you so much. Thank you for your submission. Madam Min Oluwatobi. Oh yeah, I take 2 minutes. You share one back. Madam Min Oluwatobi.
Hello, I'm done.
Yeah. Am I audible? Madam Min Oluwatobi, are you there?
I'm done. Did you hear the question I asked?
Mr. Alabi, ẹ̀yin kọ́ ni mò ń bá wí, Madam Min Oluwatobi mi mọ̀ bóyá wọ́n gbọ́ àbí wọn ò gbọ́.
I gave 3 points, right? And I told her to give an insight about it so that people would also understand the political dynamics and political play, particularly in the area of Ilorin Kabak in the Second Republic. And I highlighted Richard Akinjide, what he did. Some of the Yorubas that always believe that because they are educated, they can use their smartness to override the interest of the people. I also give an insight of how a lot of doctors are not sacked in the Kwara State government, that they had to come and work in Oyo State. I think this person was the governor, then Bolage was the governor, and in one of J.S. Olawon quoted in his book, and Papa Bola Bishakode also quoted it. And the third one, the restructuring of Mohammed Lawal in the Fourth Republic around 1999 before his death. So I just wanted
Mr. Lukman, Mr. Alabi, I would like us to continue next week on this lecture, because this is the part 1, and I explained briefly the issue of Kwara today. So the question you're asking me, I know what you want me to say. It is a whole new avenue completely. And I want us to stick to understanding the fundamentals of Sudan and Nigeria. Because a lot of our people are still at the basics. Many of us are operating at advanced level, A level. Many of our people are still at the basics of the reality of Nigeria. That was the greatest mistake I ever made for the past 2 years. Because for 2 years, we were teaching advanced stuff as regards Yoruba nationalism. Some people felt they've known enough and they can start also challenging. And we've seen what happened. Some people think Yoruba nationality, when we talk about Yoruba conservative ideology, it's just to be causing Igbos. That every other thing, some people even think it's all about defending APC. So by the time we started calibrating back, some people were far gone. So Ejeka draw sorry Sudan and Nigerian case. The issue of Kwara is complicated, and I don't want us to even talk about some issues. I personally don't want to talk about it. Because these people are far diabolical than you think. So let's move on, sir.
Mr. Abiso, Amate, Swaju.
No problem.
Sure. Madam Min Oluwatobi Shewambe. Sure, yeah, take 2 minutes.
Well, I would love to ask a question. So, Aaron was speaking some minutes ago, and he made mention of a new king from Yoruba land that has, from the Yoruba district that has just been crowned in Kwara. We also what these people are doing to the same Wiki, because I believe it's an agenda anyway against Wiki. You understand? We saw what is happening between the Northern and Elite and Wiki himself now. Now we saw what this happened between this man to this this man Oba Iwo, that has been going about trying to import jihadism and Wahhabism into Iwo land just to cause chaos and infiltrate Yoruba land. Now, how do we segregate, not just segregate, how do we steal the religious aspect of what they want to use to conquer the Yoruba? Because they are using three things: the force, religion, and this how do I put it? Maybe will I put it worse? How do we like separate them so that they won't come between Yoruba people? Because these people know how to meddle between Yoruba tribe and start using religion. They start mentioning anything. They start mentioning it's Islam. Islam brother, they start meddling between Yorubas, and before you know it, they separate us and they conquer us. Please, how do we go about that, please?
You actually go, Are, in fact, settle down question yet, because that was my follow-up question as well. Bóyá kí n sáré fi kún nǹkan tí Mr. Amin sọ. Bá ṣe mọ̀, Ààrẹ àyàfi tá a bá fẹ́ deny ẹ̀. We have a lot of fundamentalists ní àárín ilẹ̀ Yorùbá náà nísìn. Àti ní wọn, they are many. We have a lot of them. Tó jẹ́ pé they were even ready. They prefer to be Arab. If care is not taken, these are people that are partly ready to take arms against us, the Yorubas. So they pé Yorùbá làwọn náà. Even wọ́n lè má jẹ́ full-blooded Yorùbá. Are our people listening at all? Ṣáwọn èèyàn wa ń gbọ́? Ṣọ́n mọ̀ tó ń
Can I quickly
ṣẹlẹ̀?
add?
Are they
Arya, before you
aware?
speak,
Okay, yes.
Arya, before you speak, can I quickly add to what she said as well? Because
Go ahead.
I just learned like an hour ago, some guy complaining about the political Islamists that's in Nigeria that was banned from coming to Unilag. So this is very important, Arya, because they're not allowing him to speak in Unilag right now. And someone is complaining about it. And I think that person is possibly Yoruba.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very, very much. Firstly, we want to thank Unilag for not allowing that sacrilege. Let me tell you the truth. If it was 5 years ago, that person would have spoken even in UI. Now there is an awakening. People are now paying attention to what is happening. So that's a first victory. You see, we thank Almighty God that we too, we are getting better. That's number one. Number two, I want to say something controversial tonight. The Yoruba people survived what other people could not survive. What we survived was what erased the Hausa nation, was what destroyed the Nubians. We not only survived, we rebuilt ourselves and we become a powerful bloc within West Africa and Africa. People can say all sorts of things, but I'm going to tell you, without colonial, European, British powers, different gang ups against us, we should have moved further than this, but still, we are still powerful. And despite the fact that it's just 10 to 20 to 30% of the Yoruba population that are doing the job. So we are very grateful. Now, let me now tell you something about Yoruba Muslims. If Yoruba Muslims are this diabolical, that as the way some people want to, we have people in our midst that are Zionists, but are also Christians. Their loyalty is to Israel within Yoruba land. So what we just have is that we have people that are radical Christians, people that are radical Muslims. Both the ideologies are not Yoruba first, they are religion first. But we have a centrist. It is those centrists that has been keeping Yoruba land in check. So it is our centrists here. Àwọn ni wọ́n ti ń reduce nílẹ̀ Yorùbá tí a gbọ́dọ̀ gbé dìde padà. Ṣé láwọn fringes àwọn look, there has always been extremists in Yoruba land for the past 300 years. That's why I say I'm going to say some things. It was an Islamic cleric called Momo that invited the Ilorin to come and invade and destroy Osogbo. in 1840, in 1838. And it was the same in Iwo that some Yoruba Islamic clerics went to go and tell Ibadan. Hey, Ibadan, we've seen the military you sent to Oshogbo. You sent 3,000 men. The 3,000 men will be destroyed. You best send 100,000. I'm just giving an instance. They were the ones who gave the full war situation, how terrible it is. And they had to bring up Balogun Odarinlo, Balogun Elepo, another Balogun to quickly go and reinforce them in Ibadan. So this thing is broken, no? But I want to tell you the truth. Thank God for our wonderful culture. Now, I want to just they are homogeneously Christians. Their land are not safe to go to. Did you see statistics? I want to say 95% of their people are Christians. Their land are not safe. I want to say 95% of their land are Muslims. Their land are not safe. I want to say mẹ́ta lọ́kan là ń ṣe. Our land, it is more safe and more prosperous within Nigeria. It is because of our wonderful and powerful culture. Look, the reason why we are afraid is because we want to nip things in the bud. Things are going to get better. Don't worry. By the special grace of God. But let me tell you something. I want to say it. No matter what happens in Yoruba land, we will survive. So no matter what they do, look at how we are the only bloc, geopolitical zone in Nigeria that responded well to this terror. We created a functioning outfit, no matter how ineffective people think it is, throughout Nigeria. So when we even criticize our political elite and galvanize our people the way we are doing, it's because we want them to do more. So I trust God in the lives of our people. They will do more. We'll do better. I'm ashamed more. So if you're compelled, these people are going to attack us. They are going to poke us. It should now make us become resilient and secure the lives of our people. I saw these people crying in Okun land, but I don't want to talk. Because that is the Sunday Awoniyi, the greed of a man. He went to go and sell out our people to these extremists. That is why you cannot afford. That's why I said social media has changed the dynamics of power. Gbogbo rubbish táwọn arẹwà ń ṣe yẹn tó ń pa àwọn èèyàn ní Kaduna. The reason why Deborah is still hunting them is because the massacre of Deborah was televised on social media throughout the world. They cannot hide it. They would have hidden it. And social media will undo them. Can't you see they are saying there is no killings, even though you are seeing 500 mass graves, 1,000 mass graves, and they are still denying. So I think let us stop it there because I want us to come back next week to finish this topic by God's grace. Eshe?
Eshe gan Ààrẹ. Aṣìlẹ́yìn ọ̀kan lórí stage ẹ jẹ́ ká wò ó tó ń bá lè bá wa tó máa kọ́kọ́ sáré béèrè question wọn. Ó yẹ ẹ lọ, Mr. B, Mrs. Good Work, Adam. Go ahead, please. Take just 2 minutes. Be fast. Thank you.
I should go. I really should go for the lecture tonight. My question is, some of those APC the young wing of the APC that are currently denying the obvious and denying the genocide going on in Nigeria, do they have the support of the president to be doing this, or they are just acting on their own? And what do they stand to benefit from denying the obvious, which is going to come and affect them later on? I should go.
Alright.
Repeat your question again, please.
Let me quickly repeat it. Also, the APC, the young APC wing that are denying the killings that is going on in Nigeria, what do they stand to gain? Are they doing that in because
Those
of
ones are just looking for what to eat, please. Let's not.
one day belong power?
President to do that.
Would that be all the speakers we have now?
Yeah.
All right. So the segment is coming to an end now. Okay, thank you for muting. So thank you everyone for joining us tonight. We're very, very grateful and glad for you always coming to join us on this segment every single Saturday. And I'm hoping that we've taken a lot out of this. And also I want to thank Unilag, whoever is in Unilag, who stopped this lecture from taking place. We're very grateful. As Yoruba people, like I said, we need to think about the next generations. We have to start planning towards the next generations. We should have a system now. We should have a structure where we're able to judge our population. We're able to tell what we need. We're able to tell what we're going to need in the near future. We're able to plan ahead because that is why the West is ahead of us. That's the truth, because they think ahead of time. They're not thinking about now. They're not thinking about what they are going to achieve for themselves personally, because they know that individually they can't survive alone. So they need to be a group, a collective group, and a structured or organized group in order to thrive and survive. And they are also facing their challenges in the Western world, but they are relentless and they are planning and they're also executing their plans and they're working towards their own survival. So we Yorubas, we also have to think about ourselves. I have no issue with other ethnic groups, but I have to be very frank. At this point, Yoruba comes first. Yoruba interest first. Everything about Yoruba has to be first, because like I've said previously in previous sessions, that when everything goes down, when things get to, it gets to, I pray it doesn't get to the, it doesn't get worse, because when it gets to that stage, everybody's going to cleave into their own. Everybody is going to, go into their own group and structure and organize themselves. And we shouldn't be reactive. At this point, Yoruba people, we are too reactive. We're too reactive, and we shouldn't be reactive anymore. Mr. Jalomi, can you please mute your, can you hear me? We shouldn't be too reactive. We should be proactive and reactive. We should be able to do both. There are things that will catch us, like we'll be caught unaware, but there are things we should plan for, and there are things we should be able to predict. And they said those who don't know history will surely repeat. They will repeat history, and we can't repeat what happened to us during Kriji War. So we have to be structured. We also have to understand international relations. It's very important for Yoruba people to understand international relations, because many of us don't know, we don't understand things. So we're trying to think from a place of logics rather than understanding from, history, and being able to break down things as it is, as the world sees this, from the world view. We need to understand this, because I already said it in last week's lecture that we don't have the power that the global power have. And you can't make the global power your enemy. So there are people across globe now who went from developing country to now developed. And there are some that are still developing countries. And if you observe them, you see that they work with the global power. They work with them, and they understand that there is no permanent friend and there's no permanent enemy. And as Yorubas, we need to understand that. We can't make the same mistake we made in the First Republic, the Second Republic, and the Third Republic. We can't repeat that now in the Fourth Republic. So we have to be strategic. We have to be conscious. We have to be alert. And we need to be a collective. It's very, very important for our survival. So I'm praying and hoping that we understand what is being said tonight, and that those of us who have listened to this particular session will have a conversation with our family and friends and our colleagues, and we'll start to spread the word that we need to start to become a community again. Yoruba land needs to be a community, because I remember in the 90s when we had the issue of armed robbery, we didn't have the police to protect us, but we created our own vigilante and we protect ourselves. So we need to start thinking about how we need to come together as a community and find solutions to our problem. So I'm going to leave it at this now. And I just want to remind you that every civilization across the globe is going through all sorts of issue right now. It's not pertaining to us. it's a global thing, and Ọlọ́run jẹ́ ká bógun lọ. So a máa borí ogun eléyìí náà. K'Ọlọ́run wà pẹ̀lú wa. I'll see you all next week again. We will all see you next week in good health and with sound mind. At the same time, on all platforms, our usual platforms. Thank you very much again, everyone. Ó dàárọ̀, ojú á tó àárẹ̀ o.